Goalkeeper, you probably wanted to be a striker, banging in goals, hearing the crowd scream your name, not a keeper. Nobody grows up dreaming of standing between the posts. It just happens. You got thrown in because you couldn't dribble, couldn't pass a ball straight, and definitely couldn't shoot to save your life. So the coach looked at you and said, "Yeah, get in goal." At first, it feels like a punishment, the position nobody wants, where you can make 10 saves. But all they remember is the one you missed. You're out there yelling at defenders who don't track their man, watching your back line fold like paper. And somehow, it's your fault when the ball hits the net. Center back. All you care about is making sure attackers don't get past you. Simple. You're not here to look good. You're here to shut things down. You bring strength, leadership, and raw grit to the back line. Probably the strongest in the team. You don't do tricks, you do damage. You're a Brexit baller through and through. You hate flashy attackers. Steepovers? Nutmegs? You don't just stop them. You make sure they think twice before trying that again. You can't shoot to save your life, but somehow, every now and then, you smash a worldie from 30 yards and act like you meant it. Fullback. You're undoubtedly one of the quickest players on the team. You look up to legends like Marcelo, Roberto Carlos, and Dani Alves, the ones who made fullback look like an art form. You'd rather sprint down the line, whip and pinpoint crosses, and feed the attackers than sit back and play it safe. But let's be real. You grew up dreaming of being a striker or a winger, so how did you end up here? Well, you weren't skillful enough to be a winger, nor you probably played fullback once, had a good game, and the manager said, "Yep, this is your position now." And just like that, you've been stuck here ever since. You've got insane stamina. You'll run all game, up and down the touchline, no complaints. But when it comes to finishing, let's be honest. You're not exactly clinical. You'll sky the occasional shot into the stands, but you make up for it with the energy, the grit, and those lung-busting overlaps. Midfielder. Your main job is to serve the strikers. You've got 99 passing and crossing. Your first touch is out of this world, and you're probably the smartest on the team. You're the engine, the one doing the dirty work behind the highlights. You don't get many goals, but you start the plays that lead to them. You don't get many assists because your attackers suck. You're getting yelled at by the defense to drop deeper, screamed at by the attackers to push forward, while trying to do both in the same breath, and somehow you're still overlooked. People still think midfield is just passing the ball around. They don't see the constant pressure, the non-stop decision-making, the fact that you barely breathe for 90 minutes. You might not be the star, but without you, there is no team. Winger, you're the flair guy. The one the crowd leans forward for when the ball hits your feet. 1v1, you live for it. You want the fullback scared before kickoff. You might frustrate people. You might lose the ball. But when it clicks, magic. You grew up watching players like Neymar, Ronaldo, or Robin, doing skills in your backyard, thinking you'd be next. You're quick, you're unpredictable. And yes, you'll try a rainbow flick even in a serious match, because you live for those moments. But let's be honest, you're also the most inconsistent player on the pitch. One game, you're kooking the fullback for 90 minutes. Next game, you disappear completely. Tracking back, you wouldn't do that to save your life. Your teammates just tolerate your laziness because they know you make magic happen when it matters. Striker, you chose this position since the day you touched a ball, not because you were good, but because you craved the attention. You wanted to be the one doing the celebration and soaking in the claps after scoring a tap-in. Your first touch is a crime, and your steepovers look like you're fighting gravity. You don't track back, you don't press, you don't even jog. You just stand there waiting for someone to hand you a goal on a plate. You want every goal. Even if the angle's impossible, even if your teammate is standing on the goal line, you're still not passing. Because in your head, you're R9, but in reality, you're just Nicholas Jackson on a cold Sunday.